So, going this way, again, tell me what you're thinking about in your body. And I know you gotta slowly get her going along, but.
Trying to think of the kind of the wall in front and bearing down. Sometimes I create the wall in front and then I forget about my lower back. So I'm trying to.
Yes, and then you just push too far forward.
Yep. And the bowl, keeping it kind of steady, and then my thighs on.
And you might feel it different with her. You may not need to be quite as extreme on some of the things because she's a little more uphill than eBay is.
Yep.
So naturally the saddles might be a little bit higher in the front than on eBay. So you might feel like, oh, I naturally sit in the bowl better. Just from her balance. And you can put a little bump with the spur into her. Yeah. Good. She's totally fine with the leg being pretty strong. Good. Okay, low back. And we'll give her a little bit more time to keep warming up in the walk and suppling and stuff like that. So go across and change direction somewhere. Just keep or what's your bear down number?
5 now.
Okay. What was it before?
Probably 3 because I was thinking of other things.
Okay, yep. What's your hold on the rein number here?
Probably like a 2-ish or
okay,
a 3.
Good, yep. Usually she's fairly soft. Even if she's up in the air, she's a little soft still. Good. How are your sit bones walking?
A little better now.
Okay. Can you call them out to me?
1 forward, right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
Good.
Left.
Very good. Yep. Low back a little bit more. There you go. And your thighs. Do you feel like they're easier to attach on her or harder?
Kind of struggling there.
Okay. She's more narrow than eBay, so you're going to have to be more narrow on her.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. So you're going to close all the way up at your hips. Close the inner thigh, close the hip a little bit on the outside. And here's a different idea for you to think about. Go ahead and once you get out of the sun, well, no, just keep walking, that's fine. Think about your hips outside here, right? Could you almost imagine you had like a chip clip on your hips that made them get closer to, or like a laundry clothespin? And you're trying to pinch your hips together a little bit closer. So it closes this from the outside as well as the inner thigh too, but this is a little different way of thinking about keeping your body a little more narrow on her. So you have hip pinch, thighs closed. Yeah. Oh, you sat down really well there. Good job. When you think hip pinch, what happens? What do you feel? Or do you feel
makes it easier for me to kind of plug in and bear out on her a little bit.
Okay.
And I feel my thighs close in more and stay a little steadier.
Very good. So I like that idea because it's easy to just close the inner thigh, but sometimes it's easy just to get too tight on the inner thigh. And you can just like kind of almost pinch or to be too snug. But if you close it on the outer thigh or the outer hip, it doesn't feel like you're tightening up on the horse necessarily. You just firm yourself up better. So there's definitely a different way of attaching. Okay, so your low back looks like it's pretty well plugged in here. Keeping the thighs, the iron bar between the knees, the hip pinch, and the heavy elbows. Good. Bear down number?
5.
Okay. How's your breathing with this? Do you find it more challenging to breathe when you bear down more, or?
Yeah.
So you might imagine that you breathe through a straw. A little bit of like force the air out, force the air in. Kind of if I was pushing on your stomach the whole time, you need to keep that resist. And another way to think about it is imagine that you have to breathe down through your pelvis into her belly. So your lungs are deep down into her belly and you've got to go, okay, I got to breathe down for her. And when you bear down and breathe with me pushing on you, you felt how firm you needed to stay for the breath in and the breath out. Most people breathe like strong or and then they inflate and deflate. Try to stay inflated the whole time. Keep the rib cage expanded and you breathe and fill out the lungs in that, but you keep your rib cage firm the whole time.
Okay.
Very good. Super. Now, which sit bone's heavier? Or the equal?
They're a little more equal.
Okay. Both thighs attached, about equal? Or is the right one still not quite there?
I can get them attached, and then when I want to use my spur, I feel like they start.
It's a little harder. Yep. And I get that if you need to use the spur and you need to turn your toe out a little bit more, it's going to be more challenging to keep your thigh attached. But your goal is to do that bump and release as quick as you can and get the thigh back on.
Okay.
And the goal is to never really take your thigh off. But if you have to, depending on where the horse is under you, sometimes you got to turn your toes out a little bit to use the spur and then turn them back in and get the thigh attached. It's a little bit tricky to keep it fully there. The goal, though, I think about when I put my aids on, I'm trying to go kick in and instead of kick back.
Okay.
But if you have to use a spur, I get it.
Okay.
You know, but if you can do kind of like almost like kick her with the stirrup bars.
Okay.
Or the stirrup irons, you're like bam those against the girth or something, and you go bang, and that could be enough of a wake up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, where I like to just nudge every stride and take my thigh off.
Yes.
Okay.
So here's another way to think about your aids. I like to think about them being like a 1 to a 10. 1 is the lightest touch I can do on their sides, and a 10 is the strongest kick that I can do. You know they can feel a 1. They can feel a fly touch them. They're like, oh, I can feel that 1, no problem. But they don't always listen to it. Also because we kind of teach them to not listen to a light 1. It's like, oh, now we finally mean it, kick. So I want to think about, I put my aid at a 1 or 2 on, super light. If they don't respond, depending on the horse, I'm going to get as close to a 10 as I can and stay safe on it, right? And then immediately you go forward, and then immediately you come back and do it again from a light aid.
Okay.
So it's like if I'm asking her to go forward and she doesn't listen, and you're asking her just to walk on. If she doesn't listen to a 1 or a 2, I'm going to kick pretty strong and jump her into the trot. And then 2 or 3 steps into it, go, let's walk, and let's try that again. Because I never want to keep going forward on a big aid.
Okay.
If you have to kick really hard, it's like, that's not the aid. That was like, you didn't listen to me. That was your little bit of a wake-up call.
Okay.
Now let's come back and let's do the aid that's nice. It's too easy to kick hard and keep going. And then that's what they think their aid is. Like, you have to be that strong. Good. So I also think when I put my aid on, I said walk. And I say, if I said to walk to a 5 miles an hour, you know, she shouldn't change until you tell her to do something different. But if you tell her to do something different with your body, then it's going to stop her.
Okay.
Or speed her up, depending on how you rev yourself up. If you like decide to become a sack of potatoes and you kick, and then try to frame yourself, you know, or you know, you kick, boom, and you got heavy. In essence, you said stop and go, right? So, or it's like a lot of times you're like, oh, they went forward finally, and then you stop and relax, and then you're like, oh shoot, you just told them to stop again. So it's like I keep my fire on inside of me, like my bear down is like, I like a little furnace inside of me, and I'm going, I mean to go forward still, and I think it. You should start be listening to me. Now I want you to get ready for a trot rising, and nothing super big and fast yet. It's just you pick her up, you bear down, you pick up your readiness and go, and let's trot. If she doesn't listen to a softer aid, you go forward. Like that looked pretty soft to me. Good. Well done. And just we'll let it be kind of soft and easy. Let her work that, especially her right hind up a little bit. It's a little weak. Good. Well done. What's your bear down number?
5 now.
Okay. And your weight on the thigh versus the stirrup, what's that percentage?
Still probably 60 in the stirrup, 40 in the thigh.
Okay. Can you go 50-50? And do you feel like it's harder to attach the thighs here compared to eBay earlier?
A little bit, yeah, a little narrower.
Just so the narrowness is the tricky part on this, yeah. So you need to be thinking like you could get your knees together. And you could do like a squat or something with knees together. So your heels stay back, your toes stay up, and your knees are closer together, and you're going squat, 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 squat with knees together. Hip pinch a little bit, and twist to the right slightly. There you go. Good job, good job, good job, that's okay. No worries. How does this feel?
Good.
Yeah, are you closer to 50-50 or 60-40?
Closer to 50-50
Okay.
in moments.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that's fine. Go ahead and go across and change directions. Again, kind of easy. Keep that outside twist now that you're twisting or going to the left. Outside elbow more stable at your sides. And when you get your outside elbow more stable at your side, your outside connection gets better, she gets straighter, and she gets more round. Good job. Now working towards 50-50, 60-40 on her. Iron bars between those knees. Yep, and I don't mind that kick if you need to, but then you kind of soften and just ask her to go lightly again. It's the same thing in the gait. If you have to kick really hard to get her to go forward, you almost want to half halt and try it again. Now your legs are probably working pretty hard here, huh? Good. So keep those fingers closed. What number are you at on tiredness or stamina for this particular set? 10 is I'm at the max.
6 or 7.
Okay. Do 2 more circles and then we'll go ahead and walk. So I want you to go pretty a lot on this, like not big or trot, but I want you to pull the bungee cord, get those knees together. Think about being pigeon-toed or knock-kneed or whatever the knees are together. Yep. And up and over, pull the bungee cord, foot light, strong thigh. Pull the bungee cord, foot light, strong thigh. As you're coming up to the next center line, you can walk. So maybe at the quarter line, you go sitting. It's fine. And you go for your walk transition. Fine, and you walk on. So her sitting trot is probably a lot easier than eBay's. Or what did it feel like to you?
Easier to manage.
She's much more, eBay is a longer horse and not so like springy. She's got a lot more spring in her body, so she sucks you into her back. Got to get her clipped. Okay, so you keep working on the walk here. I want you activating it a little bit. Yeah, that's okay, good job. And then I'll ride a half halt and send her forward again from a light aid. And if you have to do it over and over and over again, that's fine to go forward from big, like send her on. But your goal is to keep going until eventually I don't have to use a big aid. Because I don't want you to be ineffective. You need to still be getting the job done and making sure they're paying attention to you, but in a way that is, I'm teaching you how to do it right.
Yep.
And I assume most of the hunter or the jumpers you ride are fairly hot.
Depends, yeah. A couple of them are cold.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, more.
I feel like most
more
of the
blood in general.
Right. It's like the top dressage horses have to be that way too, a little bit, a little fiery. Good. So, what are you feeling here in your body?
Trying to bear down without
Hunching, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like.
So bear down, low back, and there you go. Super. Yep. Bringing the elbows more firm makes a big difference. It like locks you into place. So I want you to imagine that you are pushing a grocery cart. Don't let your elbows get loose when you push a grocery cart. You would go, now your hands would be the opposite direction of the grocery cart handle, but you're going push the grocery cart like I don't want to see any of this happening.
Okay.
Right, but it's like I'm here, I'm using my whole body to push myself, to push my arms, to push the heavy grocery cart.
Okay.
So say it's full of like 20 gallons of water or something, like that's a little heavy, you got to push that thing. So not any further forward with the hand, but the fact that you need to stay pushing forwards. So go ahead and halt for a second. And I want to push on your hands.
Okay.
So bring your elbows, let the reins get a tiny bit longer, bring your elbows back. And just resist me. Don't push anymore. Yep, just whatever I'm doing, you want to resist that. So I want even your elbows to be a little bit more there.
Okay.
Yep. And then you just have this like push the grocery cart along. So there's a firmness to that, but you still would have to keep the reins and feel like, oh, it's not like it's pushing really heavy, but like I'm going along, I'm pushing this grocery cart so that I don't do this. Or pull back. You're not the pull backer. You're the push away too much. So you need to be thinking, keep the elbows locked at your sides a little bit more, or very heavy. I don't want to say locked because I don't want them stiff, but much more than they want to go. So more firm, and then push, going. There's no pull back in this. It's like a resist forward.
Okay.
Go ahead, walk forward. So with the shorter rein, then you keep the elbow at the side and you keep the hands pushing forwards. And I know it's a little bit tricky when they're not totally rounded and totally connected to have the perfect rein length and the hands pushing forward and the elbows heavy. But keep the feeling that your elbows are at your sides.
Oh my gosh, we got a visitor.
Oh, Mr. Wiggles, yes. He likes to say hi sometimes or come in and use the bathroom or something. There was a puddle in here from the storm, so he likes to go lay in those puddles. It's always a little surprising the first time a horse comes in and Mr. Wiggles walks through and they're like, what is that? Okay, so low back. Good job. Heavy elbows, push the grocery cart. Don't let your elbows go any more forward though. Good job. And with that, you should feel your bear down gets more firm because you can't push a grocery cart without engaging your core or your arms do all the work and then you get really tired. Your arms should be a little bit sore and should be like feeling like the shoulders in the front might be burning a little bit, like as you have this push, because they have to rotate back. Zara. Good. Low back a little bit more. Good. And it's this very slightest bit, but it makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah. Good job. Okay, trot rising this way again. Low back. And you're going to try to go. Good job. I like that. You went to sitting for 2 beats and then to rising. You kept yourself plugged in. Super. So we keep the grocery cart. Yep, that's fine. Ride a little half halt and then send her forward again. You're like, it's counterintuitive, but slow her back down. She went forward. But yep, it's tricky, but you got to keep doing that a little bit. Okay. Yep, good job. And part of it is, if you're having a difficult time being more than 50-50, you're essentially not pulling her forward well.
Yeah.
And I understand you're probably a little tired from the first ride, but I want you to really power into the thighs and going, I know it's more narrow, but as much as you can, hold yourself. Foot steady, foot light. Imagine you're standing on the ground and you're going, my feet can't push down or up anymore. They're staying in one spot on the ground. My knees are attached and I thrust and pull the bungee cord and get energy like that. Yeah, and you could think about the windshield wipers going faster. Wipe the windshield a little faster. Thrust, thrust, thrust. Yeah, feel the difference?
Yeah.
So then you thrust a little faster, pulling her back up a little with you a little bit more and getting a little bit more energy from behind with her. That way you're not going just to slow the same slow rising, but trying to kick and get more energy under her. You're going, actually, I'm going to get more energy from powering myself up more. Give your inside curb a little bit more. Let it be a little softer.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go. Super. Good. Good. So with bear down, with the heavy elbow, and the hands pushing the grocery cart, you're going, pull the bungee cord. So you keep the front end, you keep the energy, or you keep the connection in your hands quiet, but it's there. And you're going, hind end, come on up. Hind end, come on up into my front end. That's okay, good job. By pulling your back up, you thrusting up and over, going, I'm pulling you back, pulling you back. If you can think about the energy that your bungee cord wraps to her hind legs, that's around your waist. And you're going, pull the hind leg, pull the hind leg. Not any bigger than that, but this is good. Pull the hind leg. Keep pulling the hind leg. Not faster, but pull, 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 pull the hind leg. Good job. What do you feel?
More impulsion.
Yeah, more hind leg action under you. Now, do you still have bear down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Forgot to breathe, but.
You're like, I'm going blue in the face here, but if I pass out. Good job, good job. Heavy elbows. Fingers stay in a fist. Don't want them to open at all. Good job. Well done. Okay, get ready for a downward transition. You're a little hollow in your low back, sternum down, ab crunch, but butt collarbone advanced. And get ready for a walk. Good job, that's fine. She was like, oop, I should almost stop to come to a halt, but then she kept going. You did a good job. You just almost over-applied the walk aid. Okay. But you did a really nice in sitting into that, into the trot to stay sitting for a couple beats. That was good. She's also kind of ready to come back. So maybe you didn't override it. You may have Just let her come back a little bit, but either way, she was like, I'm ready to come back. Yeah, you could go a little loose rein, think a little stretch to let her walk out a bit, and then we'll change directions.
Okay.
We're gonna go sitting trot now.
Okay.
Now your knees disattached. Yeah, there you go. And twist a little to the right. There you go, super, well done. Now fingers closed. Make a fist with your hands and keep the thumbs on top. Yeah, that's better. So when you make that fist in your hands, it actually firms your whole arm up, and it makes it better in your bear down. There's a scientific fact that it's proven that if you have your hands open, it's harder to engage your core. So you keep your hands in a fist, and your core usually stays a little bit more engaged. Good job. And your bear down number here?
4 or 5. I need to firm up my lower back a little more.
So you just gently tuck under, and you're going to try to advance your collarbone a little bit more forward. Yes, good job. Super. Well done. And how hard is this?
My thighs are burning.
Okay, so get past the table and walk. Bear down, half halt, tuck under. Good, leg on. That was a nice transition. Very soft.
My thighs are definitely the weakest link of all the weak
Most
links.
people's thighs and core are usually the two that are like, they're screaming by the time you're done, because, I mean, those are our biggest muscle groups, and they work the hardest. And in the sitting trot, there's no break. It's like you're going hold, 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 hold the whole time. And you can try to play around with, you know, softening a little bit and feel, but see what happens if you soften your thigh too much. Do you wobble? Do you bounce?
Yeah.
You know, firm it back up and go, staying attached. Yeah. You know, there's so many different thoughts on how much thigh pressure you need, but you really feel like you need quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you're like just grabbing your knees in and you're pinching, we're going to be like, okay, we need to change that because it can't be grabbing on, but there needs to be a firm hug. Okay, ready to go again?
Yes.
Let's go. Bear down, blow back, collarbone. Advance the collarbone more. And think about bouncing on a yoga ball here. If you lean forward, you lean back, you lean side to side, you fall off the ball. You're just trying to go, this is my bounce, this is my ball, I'm sitting on the bounce, bounce, bounce. I don't want you to add any extra bounce or feel like you're going to thump and actually bounce on her back, but you're trying to take the ball and go with the bounce, 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 tuck under, bounce, 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 bounce. Yeah, good job. So then you stay right on the center of the ball as the ball bounces. And you go with the bounce, with the bounce, with the bounce. What's the first thing you would lose here?
Oh gosh, everything. Thighs.
Okay, thighs might go before core.
Back and core.
Okay.
All of it.
So get it back together, bear down, thighs, low back, and get ready for a walk transition. Just breathe out, close your thigh a little bit more, half halt and leg. So you got a little tipped forward into that one because she stopped a little bit abruptly, and you needed a little bit more lower leg to keep her flowing downwards into that transition. She was just like, urch, and you just tipped forward a bit. Okay, let's go for some canter work.
Okay.
So she'll be much more collected than eBay will be.
Okay.
But it should be fairly similar. Put that inside leg on, outside hip back, and outside leg on, and you should get up into the canter fairly easily. If she doesn't listen, give her a bump.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay, so here you need to keep tucking back and down. Gentle on the outside sit bone, a little bit of inside thigh snug, and you're leaning forward, so there you go. Yeah. Stay tucking under. Lean back more. Tuck under more. Not by just leaning your shoulders back. Actually tuck your seat bones under because I want that I don't want the hollow back. Low back tucked under. Yeah. Water in the bowl, tuck up in the front. Good job. Keep the collarbone advanced, but low back. Tuck, tuck, tuck. And it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sit back. 1, 2, 3. Twist right. Just a little bit. Yep. Good job. Good job. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you want to think about your sit bones being almost as if there are like a plug-in in a wall socket, like a lamp plugs in, and you've got your two that need to plug into the saddle and almost plug through the saddle into her back.
Okay.
And if you're not plugged in, you're tipped forward, right? Your sit bones are now kind of like this, and you're not plugged down and straight in, and you're no longer having the electrical energy that you would get when you plug in the socket.
Yep.
It's like, it's not working, my switch isn't working, so plug it in, and then you have the energy and the connection to be able to establish with her. Tuck under more. There. Yep. Do you feel right and left sit bones?
Yep.
Good. One more than the other, or are they pretty equal?
Definitely a little more equal than they were on eBay.
Okay. Let's change directions.
Okay.
It's training the neural pathways in your brain to change, because they are like, no, this is wrong. Your body, the muscle memory is like, this is not right, this is not right, nope. So you got to be like, nope, we're retraining this to go plug in, this is my new normal, and 10,000 repetitions later and you'll have it as a new habit. So it'll just take a wee bit of time.
Yeah, I was like, it's a good thing I only ride like once a month.
Yeah.
It's going to take me 20
No
years.
problem. But you could do a ton of this stuff like off the horse. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Yep.
you're not going to get the same strength, but like bearing down, you
Yeah.
can strengthen that up,
Yep.
no problem. Feeling like you could close your thighs a little bit. Think about when you're sitting in the car, which sit bone is heavier?
Okay.
You know, and right leg drives, and it's like you got to make sure the left one is also as balanced as the right leg. So, okay. Let's go to canter left. Right sit bone will be back, shoulders back. Your elbows have kind of disappeared in front of you. There you go. Snug them back. Make them magnets to your sides. That's okay. Now hands a wee bit wide, elbows a little bit narrow, and tuck under. Yeah. Keep a little bit of inside leg on. All right, an outside half halt, a little bit more inside leg, and you're going to send her forward a little bit in the canter. Just to keep going, I'm tucking under. I'm going to twist myself to the outside. Right shoulder back more, right elbow back more, right sit bone back. Good job. And then she might fall a little to the inside, so you're trying to shift out to the outside a little bit, sitting on the outside sit bone more, inside lower leg on, and firm up your inside thigh to go push her out, and then you firm up the outside thigh a little bit to keep her attached to you, between both thighs. Tuck under, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, outside hand, a little wide, half halt, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, tuck under. There you go, tuck under more. There, tuck under again. Yep, feels like you're leaning really far back, huh? Good, and trot transition. Hip forward, outside hip forward, and take over, rise. Yep, good, good, good. And a walk transition. Bear down, tuck under, shoulders back, elbows back. So the one of the yeah, well, you're getting tired and your arms just go like this, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we've got to really bring them back,
Yep.
and that firm front wall, tuck under in your low back, and then how to push the grocery cart more firm into the transition. As you get along, it's like that happens as you get tired, and I understand. But it's like, do it again.
Yep.
So, what was fairly common is a lot of jumpers can be hollow-backed and round-backed. It's like the
what I
top is
am.
round and the bottom is hollow. And so we're
100%.
trying to go round at the
Yes.
bottom and,
Yeah.
hollow at the top. The opposites, switch the two. So, okay, so you can go to sitting trot.
Okay.
Really be thinking already here. Your arms are straight. So bring them back more back. I know it's hard. It's hard because you're taking that connection back, and that's going to put her round. So either you let your reins get a little bit longer, or you
Right.
get her round and you put energy into her.
Right.
Yep. But you don't let the elbows get straight again. Yes. There you go. Good. That's pretty. Just you're still on the verge of being too far forward with your elbows, so I want you to be thinking, yes, exactly, and leg into that. Yep. Now, your left hand tends to cross towards the neck.
Okay.
So I want you to think about if I had a lunge line on your left wrist, I would pull it towards me.
Okay.
So the elbow stays at your side, but I could pull your left wrist away from her neck.
Okay.
So even more. There you go. Very open, which is going to be hard.
Yeah.
Your forearm is going to be tired, your biceps, your triceps, whatever, it's all going to be tired from rotating out. Okay. Or towards me, away from your body. Yep. Sitting trot when you're ready. Low back, collarbone. Good job. Low back, collarbone inside, hand open, fingers closed. Good with your inside elbow. Well done. Now a walk transition. Keep the elbows, keep the bear down, thighs firm, collarbone, tuck under, leg, leg. So I want you to do a walk transition and immediately trot on the next one.
Okay.
Okay, so you're going to be thinking walk, trot.
Okay.
Twist outside. Good. And trot.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's hard, huh? Walk and trot again. Don't even barely walk. You think walk, barely walk, and trot. Yeah, and barely walk again. And trot. You got to tuck under a little bit more.
Okay.
Outside shoulder back, barely walk. Trot, trot, trot. Yeah. Do it a little more subtly.
Okay.
Bring it back a little bit, bring it back a little bit, bring it back a little bit. Yes, and forward again. That was more smooth. Still wanted to get you pulled a little bit, but bring it back a little bit. Bear down, breathe. And then you can walk.
Okay.
Do it like the same way. That was okay. It wasn't the best, but that what you did there was better than what you finished on.
Okay.
Because you got a little jerked, and then as you plugged into that, then you kept plugging into the smaller trot. But it was like the first step lurched you a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, it was hard.
A lot.
There is a little bit, before you go forward, there's a little bit in your pelvis which you tend to be, I think, right hip is forward.
That makes sense.
And you're trying to push your right hip back a little. And I mentioned that in the canter, I think that it's easier for you to canter right position.
Yep.
But you kind of live in this position. Right hip is forward, and that would be the right thigh not engaging and snugging on enough.
Yep.
So that you're trying to snug this on a little bit and push your right hip back to engage with the left. So do that a little bit more, because you can still twist your upper body a little bit to the right, but you don't necessarily make a change enough to your hip.
I see.
And that's going to be, I think you got to keep work there. You shifted that hip more. And I want the hip almost more than the shoulders.
Okay.
Because you can almost overdo up here without doing, together.
Yep. That makes sense. A lot of the jumpers I ride, like turning right, I find more difficult in a tight right turn, and they kind of bulge left a little.
Fall out,
and
yeah.
I feel like
So this is throwing them out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So you're trying to snug that right on, and then you're going to probably almost have to, for that the right turn, that's really hard. It's going to be close the left thigh more, which is more easy for you, but you may end up putting your right lower leg on more than the left thigh. So that might be part of it. But firm up the left, and then you're going to left half halt, left thigh, and make the turn almost like you're turning a city bus instead of turning with any bend. Almost counterflex them.
Okay.
Low back, collarbone, elbows heavy. This is pretty good. You're getting a little too forward in your upper body though, so you're going to tuck under a little bit. And your right hip needs to stay a little bit back with the right thigh strong. There you go. Good job. Good job. Collarbone advance more. And do your almost walk to trot again. Just bear down more for the trans. Good, now trot on. That was really nice. Good job. Do that again. Almost walk. Leg, leg, leg. Even she lurched a little bit. You did not. And now a walk transition. Right at the same way though, like you could trot, but bear down. Yeah. How did that feel?
A lot better.
A lot more smooth.
Yeah.
And maybe it just was easier to the right than the left. So let's go back left one more time and see if there's a difference.
Okay.
Yeah, right hip stays back, right thigh strong, and do your downward transition. Or sorry, start to do it. Ooh, good job. Now, you can do a walk transition. Ride it like you're getting it smaller. Really good. So that was huge of a difference in you and her. You can go loose rein. Can you tell me what you felt was the biggest takeaway from that?
I really have to focus on not collapsing in my back.
Okay.
Kind of keeping everything tight and feeling as soon as she kind of comes down, not to just give with my hands.
Right. And I think you really keeping this hip back and the thigh attached, you stayed much more balanced on both sides, and she wasn't able to, because I think there's still a little bit of that can happen like this in your body when you're not quite snug enough. So when you're snug, you're like jumping together, like hop, hop, hop. And when you're not snug, it's like this happens, right?
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get rid of that wobble. And when you snug that right thigh up, you're now going together, together, together.
That's easier. Okay.
I think so.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I shimmy a lot in the saddle, like when I'm jumping, so probably I'll think about that right thigh.
Yeah, really snug that one on, get the right hip back a little bit, and then you're trying to go make them equal. Now, no one's perfectly equal, but you're going to try to be as equal as you can be. So, very good job.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Lovely.
Very cool, man.